All right, Sean Zattel, FightHype.com. Pleasure to be joined by the former WBA middleweight champion of the world, Mr. Rob Brant, fighting on the co-feature Saturday night in Las Vegas to Lomachenko Nakatani. Rob, man, just to get into it, man, you know, you're in the top 12 in the world already, ranked by the WBO. But how bad do you want to win this fight to really get back in the mix, get in the top 10, and get in the world title hunt?
I'm very excited. This is definitely like I said, this gentleman's no gift. He's a solid former amateur world champion. So I think it looks great in the record to have a victory over. And I'm excited. We worked really hard for this. This is, like I said, this is the life that I've always loved and wanted. Like I always tell people, they ask you, how are you doing today? Say I'm living the dream. I truly am.
Yeah, so you're loving life right now. That's beautiful.
Loving life always.
Janebek, he seems to be one of these guys from Eastern Europe with this great amateur pedigree that they're trying to fast track to a title fight. That's why at only 9 fights, they're putting him in there with a Rob Brant. But what do you think of this guy? How do you size him up, Rob?
Yeah, he's a very sharp amateur fighter. I think that most of the majority, if not everybody that he's fought, other than with the exception of Alexander, has been a little afraid of him. And they try to play the jousting game with him. And I don't think that's the way you can really play it. He's very good at, playing tag, from the outside, touching shots. And if you're scared of him, he'll let the cannons go. So, it's definitely a person you have to know when to box him and know when to take him to an alleyway and fight him.
Do you think you'll have to take him to that alleyway more often than box him?
Yeah, he's a tough guy to play tag with. He's kind of a master of that kind of amateur point system that a lot of the guys from Eastern Europe are known for, is being able to touch and get out of the way and things like that. So you have to make it uncomfortable, but also be smart at the same time. It's not like he's a soft puncher. You can hit it. So you just kind of have to make him fight you, not necessarily fight his game.
You mentioned Von Alexander, one of the few American fighters on his professional record, and it's interesting because since he's fought Vaughn, he's fought fighters with better records and has been knocking them out. But if you go back to that fight, he only wins a split decision. Did you get a chance to see that fight? And do you think something about that style struggles with an American type style? Not that there is just one American style, but yeah.
Von Alexander, he's a hard puncher, and he wasn't afraid of Janebek at all. If you look at the guys with some of the better records, they beat more people, but I think that Alexander was probably one of his toughest, if not his toughest opponent. You can knock out a guy if you're scared of you. It's easy to do. You can walk them down, they start hugging their head, and you get to pick what shots you want to throw. Alexander didn't play that game with him. Obviously Alexander and myself have a very different style, but the mentality's got to be similar. You act afraid of him, he'll take you out.
Do you think this is a true crossroads fight, or is maybe reading into it too much here, but is any part of you motivated, like they're trying to fast track this kid and make me a stepping stone for him? Or do you not think that's the thinking here? It's just a crossroads 50-50 kind of fight.
I think I don't really think that it's something I'm getting fed to this kid. It's they want to step him up. In order to step him up, you have to put him in there against a real fighter. I'm that real fighter. So, for me, it's to prove why I'm still at the top level. And for him, he's trying to prove why he should earn his spot at the top level.
Right. Simple enough. You've thrown over 1,200 punches. You almost set the middleweight record in the title fight for punches thrown. Is Rob Brant's best defense still his offense, or do you think that's changing?
Yeah, changing a bit. Obviously, it's one of my main attributes is being able to dig deep and throw those punches. But at the same point, I attempted to break the record in my second Murata fight. And in that, if your hands are always out throwing, your chin's available to be touched. So you have to find a comfortable mixture between, letting your hands go, but also staying defensively, responsible. So I think that's where I'm at in my point of my career now is knowing when to let those hands go and when to be responsible and know when people are throwing back.
How the hell are you able to throw that many punches, though, when we got world champions who, by the 10th, 11th, 12th, they're feeling fatigued from throwing, about half that many shots?
It just depends on the day in which you're feeling. It's not exhausting at all to land punches. It's exhausting to miss, so to miss and get blocked. So, if someone's available to get hit, ample amount of times, and yeah, let me throw 1,200 punches. I'm going to do that. You know, that's something I'm going to be able to do. If they're being defensively responsible and throwing intelligent, hard counter punches back, it'll be a little more reserved. You know, and you're going to have to just win the rounds opposed to trying to blow someone out and overwhelm with numbers.
What have you been working on with Bomac? What do you feel like he's been improving in what you bring to the ring?
Just being smarter. You know, a lot of it is just being smarter and throwing the right punches. You know, he hasn't, you know, changed me up by any means and said, you know, don't let your hands go. Obviously, you know, it's one of my greatest, you know, assets is being able to dig deep and let those hands go a little bit. But it's just knowing when to do it opposed to just, you know, shotgun method and trying to hit something.
Right. Shoot off 6, something lands.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
But, you know, did you get any tips over there, you know, working with Bomac from Terrence Crawford? Did he try to come over and work with you at all, or?
Absolutely, Terrence. You know, he's involved in everything. You know, and he'll sit down. He'll have, you know, wise words for you. You know, he's you know, if he ever wanted to be a coach after his career was done, he would be a phenomenal one. You know, he's very smart. He's always got words of wisdom, small things. I mean, he's not gonna lecture you. He's gonna tell you the things that, you know, he feels. You know, and it's been great to be around him and be in camp with him. You know, he's definitely a champion that a lot of people should look up to.
You think he could be a great coach, Rob, just because the simple fact that usually, not always, but a lot of the greats, they say it doesn't transition in all sports. It doesn't transition to coaching as well. In part, they don't have that patience for someone to not be as great as them. But you think he could do a good job if he really wanted to?
Most certainly. I mean, he could definitely be able to. He knows how to talk to each person.
And address, yeah.
And depending on how close he is to his fight, his patience is pretty good.
Depending on how close it is to his fight.
If you're conversing with him, you know, 2 weeks out, he's not gonna, you know, he's you know, he's a little more tuned in. His patience level is gonna be a little bit lower, but that's to be expected from anybody. You know, he's like I said, he's got a champion mindset. You know, he's got the vision for it. So if there's something he wanted to do, he would definitely be very successful in it.
You know, I know Coach K. Karoma, he's around those parts often.
Absolutely.
Did you spar at all with Jarrett Hurd while you guys were both getting ready?
Yeah, I did get a chance to spar with Jarrett Hurd. You know, that is one dude with some, I mean, he can tie his shoes standing up. Dude's got some long arms on him, decent punching. I mean, not decent. He's got great punching power. You know, I thought it was unfortunate what happened in his last bout. You know, he didn't get the W, but he's you know, he'll be at the top level for as long as he wants to be.
Did you guys break the middleweight record in sparring, or? Yeah,
he's a tough guy to throw that many punches with heavy hands. So I'm not gonna say that we broke any records or anything like that, but it was definitely you know, worth your price of admission.
How do you visualize yourself winning this fight, though, Rob? I mean, I know anything can happen in the ring, but how do you?
You have to be willing to adjust with a guy like that. You know, if you find that a chink in an arm or something he's uncomfortable with, you have to be able to expose that and maybe pivot a game plan on the go. You know, the guy has as much experience as him, it can be like fighting 3 different people at times. You know, if you find success, you know, playing tag, touching, going out, moving out, you know, you have to go to him. That's what you have to do. If you're having success, you know, pot shotting him, you're gonna have to run with that. You know, so you're gonna have to be able to kind of adjust on the fly. You know, when he makes an adjustment, you have to make an adjustment at the same time. I think that's something that's gonna be very important on Saturday.
You know, we gotta ask. You think it's stoppage?
You know, I don't ever predict stoppages with someone who hasn't been stopped before. But if given the opportunity and you land a good shot, yeah, I'm gonna take him out. You know, that's the name of the game. I mean, I don't get paid by the round, so it's if I get that opportunity, the shot to tap it.
And you know how to put them punches together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
Whether it be a 1 punch or a 10 punch, you know, you can take one of my best shots, or you can take 15 of my best shots. If I can end it, I'm gonna end it.
Now, I just wanted to ask you about Murata for a little bit here. You know, going back to that rematch, did you feel like it was stopped early? Because it looked like maybe the worst of his you had gotten through the worst of his barrage, and then the ref kind of stopped it late. But what did you think, Rob? What did you think?
Of course, you know, as a fighter, I'm going to feel like, you know, that was definitely stopped early, and I could have kept going. But, I mean, it was my own mistakes that got me there in the first place. So, I mean, I can't make complaints. You know, I mean, I shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. If I give them an opportunity, you know, in his home country, fans going crazy, you know, it's, you know, if you give them an opportunity, you know, that's it's kind of my fault as well. So he did what he was supposed to do. The ref did what he felt he was supposed to do. Of course, I'm not going to be happy about it, but there's another fight.
Is that third fight the one you want most in your career?
That's what I want most. I kind of want that redemption. I feel like I won 13 out of our 14 rounds that we competed. So that's something that I definitely want to get. I want to get back.
Everyone's looking forward to his fight with Golovkin. Is this guy underrated, Murata? You feel? Is there anything that people overlook about him when watching him, since you've been in the ring with the man? Or
he's got his hands full with Golovkin in terms of the stylistically. I think that's a tough fight for him. Murata's got a sturdy chin, and it's going to get tested. Obviously Golovkin being a proven, bigger puncher than myself. I mean, I'm interested in the fight. I think that Murata has, he's got a couple of cannons on him. He can punch himself. But we'll see if he can, give the fire as well as take it.
If you had to guess, do you think his power's in the same ballpark as Golovkin, or it's different levels there?
Never been in with Golovkin, so it's tough for me to say.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, he can punch. I mean, it's hard enough to give you the shaky legs, to give you the camera flashes. So, I mean, he's got that ability. Golovkin seems to have that same ability, if not more. So, I mean, if Murata is defensively, if he cleans up some, trim some of the fat on his defense, I think it's going to be a phenomenal fight. But we'll see come December, I believe.
Do you feel he wins that fight in the end?
Again, I mean, it depends on what version of Golovkin we get and which version of Murata we get.
Right.
I mean, they're both obviously, power's the last thing to go. So I think the power shot's going to be there, but whose reaction time is going to be a little bit better in order to catch, to receive, and throw back. We'll see what version of each one we get. If we get the best version of both of them, I'm interested. It could definitely be a very interesting fight. Of course, I want Murata to win.
Right.
It's something that I want, but can I guarantee it? Would I bet my bottom dollar on it? I wouldn't bet my bottom dollar on it. I wouldn't do that for either one of the fighters.
And you go out, let's say Murata pulls off the upset, would you go out back to Japan to face him for that third time?
I mean, I feel like it would be fair for us to meet somewhere neutral. I mean, he's been in the States. I beat him. He beat me in Japan. Let's go to the Middle East. Let's do something in the middle. Yeah, there's money out there, and it's between us. So that's what I would like. But I mean, would I go to? I mean, he's a champion. Of course, I'll go follow the belt if I need to.
And just is there any other fight in the division of interest? Charlo and Andrade.
Oh, of course, these are all interesting fights, but none of those happen unless I beat Janibek. So that's what my first and foremost, attention has been on. I'm a what's in front of me type of fighter.
Of course.
People stop talking about you, you start losing. So I have to win in order to be able to say those names.
And any thoughts on the main event? Being that how tough these Japanese fighters are. Do you think Nakatani beats Lomachenko Saturday?
I don't give him the W, but I can see it being entertaining. Nakatani can fight like a zombie sometimes. If he gets hit, he's going to be coming forward. Obviously, he can take a shot and fighting, going the distance with Tiafimo. I think that he's got his hands full. I think that Lomachenko is going to come away with the victory, but I think Nakatani is going to make that very interesting. Very similar to people had him definitely not beating Verdejo. And he came through and showed a lot of heart and grit and beat up on him. So it's going to be an interesting, fun fight to watch.
And then lastly, Rob, I just got to ask, because I know you stay down in Texas a lot these days. Did you ever spar Errol Spence out there? And who do you think wins Pacquiao versus Spence?
I trained with Spence for about 3 years. We were both under Derrick James. And yeah, he's a phenomenal. I mean, like I said, a top tier fighter. And you were saying about him and Crawford, possibly?
Him and Pacquiao. Who do you think he wins that fight?
I think he wins. I mean, Pacquiao seems to, he's beating the test of time, but time is undefeated. So it's tough to give the victory to him at this stage in his career. I think that this fight maybe 4 years ago would be a little bit closer, but I think, personal opinion, I think that Spence beats him. I mean, he's bigger. I think he hits just as hard. Pacquiao very fast hands and feet, but those are typically the first things to go. Seeing how he hasn't been in the ring in 2 years, we'll see what version of Pacquiao we get. It's tough to, bank a lot of what we did see with Pacquiao when he is, 42 at this point? 40,
yeah.
40. Again, I mean, my hat goes off to this man. He is one of the top, welterweight fighters at the age of 42. It's amazing. But we're talking about a young, hungry bull in Spence, and it's a young man's game. So I'm going to lean towards Spence on that fight.
Yeah, because Spence, like yourself, the activity is crazy, punches per round. And I imagine that's tough for a 42-year-old to keep up with.
It's going to require a lot of movement, which is not the easiest thing at 42. It's going to require, the old Pacquiao in and out movement, stepping aside. Very tough to do, with a 31-year-old who's hungry in the prime of his life.
And I know it's just sparring, and it's usually 16-ounce gloves. But does Spence? Would you put his power on the level of a middleweight, or
Absolutely. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's got middleweight style power. He'll comfortably be able to move up, but even when he ever chooses to do so to 54, I think he'll be able to be just fine.
Well, thanks so much, Rob. I just got a favor to ask. Can you pronounce the opponent for Saturday night's fight last name? I know it's Janembek is the first name.
No, I was going to lean on you for that one, John.
Okay, that is my job at the end of the day, but I was hoping that you could save us there. But
yeah, no, I was waiting for the fighter meeting later this week to actually get a full grasp of what it is. I've heard it on pre-fight before, but being able to repeat it, I just call him Janembek.
Well, Rob Brant is very easy to pronounce, and that's the man fighting Saturday night on ESPN in Las Vegas.
Let's get it. No, I appreciate it.